Good evening, everybody. We begin today with the so-called border bill. That's what the Marxist Dems call it, and the rhinos. That's the name the Marxist Dems attached to 370 pages of poison that they authored. The border bill is really $60 billion for Ukraine, real money. Maybe, just maybe, $20 billion for the border. That's pretend real money. We don't know if that's going to be spent or not on the border. No guarantee at all. It should be called the Zelensky bill, in my opinion. They really missed an opportunity here because this bill, most of it, the vast majority of it, is for Mr. Zelensky and Ukraine. We don't know which gets the most, Ukraine or Zelensky. We figure it'll be a tough battle to find out which prevails. Ukraine gets more than 3 times as much money as does the cartel-owned border. That tells you about all you need to know about the honesty, the integrity, the patriotism of all of those who wrote this legislation. In it, they lie, and they lie some more, and expect the Senate to pass it, and if it does, every Republican name on it, in my opinion, will live on in infamy. The names of Schumer and McConnell and Mayorkas and Langford, already chiseled in stone for their deceit, their villainy, and evil perpetrated against the United States and our citizens. The details of the bill are immaterial, really, at this point. If this bill were to pass and be signed into law, the United States would never recover from the Biden regime's assault on this nation. But of course, that is the plan of the Marxist Dems, the Biden regime, to destroy the country and to steal another election for Joe Biden, to keep the puppet in place for his Marxist masters, sustain their control over the government and the nation. This bill is that toxic, that obscene, and I, for one, will never forget the treason and the traitors who brought it forward. I hope you feel the same way. We have to win this battle for our country, and we must assure that we do. This bill is a $118 billion giveaway to foreign governments, to our own government's bureaucracy, and to, of course, illegal immigrants. To continue bringing in millions of illegal immigrants costs a lot of money. That's about what we could have expected, given the bill was negotiated by Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. There are 2 lovelies, aren't they? The entire premise of the bill is a lie. Joe Biden and the Marxist Dems have been claiming that there's nothing more they can do to secure our border. That's a lie. They say they need a new law on the books. That's a lie. Yet Biden, as president, already has the authority at any time to shut down that border. It's clear Biden doesn't truly care about border security. It's, in fact, just the opposite. This is what he campaigned on in 2020. Are we to believe all of a sudden that the same man who campaigned on surging to the border now suddenly cares about securing it? Now to the bill. Here's some of what's in this nearly 400-page bill. First, most of the funding allocated in the bill won't even go to the border. The bill sends the money, $60 billion of it, to Ukraine, or perhaps Zelensky or his friends. We don't know for sure. Another $14 billion to Israel, and that's fine. Those countries get a combined $74 billion for their border, while this bill only allocates $20 billion for our own. You see the disproportionate nature of this. Joe Biden only believes other nations have a right to sovereignty. That's what he said when talking about Ukraine shortly after the war in that country broke out nearly 2 years ago.
We will not sacrifice basic principles, though. Nations have a right to sovereignty and territorial integrity. They have the freedom to set their own course and choose with whom they will associate.
I don't even know what to say after that. The man has well, I'll put it this way, a mind all of his own, and that's a good thing for everyone else. The bill also gives nearly $3 billion to the very nonprofits, NGOs, that have deliberately trained illegal immigrants on how to subvert our immigration law, our sovereignty, our borders. These groups take advantage of loopholes in our system and are partially responsible for illegal immigration, yet their work is being rewarded in this bill. One of the most shocking elements of the legislation is the threshold that would allow millions of illegal immigrants to enter the country before any enforcement measures are activated. Here's how Senator Langford, the lying tool of the left, described this provision before the bill was released. Here he is.
Right now, there's internet rumors is all that people are running on. It would be absolutely absurd for me to agree to 5,000 people a day. This bill focuses on getting us to 0 illegal crossings a day. There's no amnesty. It increases the number of Border Patrol agents. It increases asylum officers. It increases detention beds so we can quickly detain and then deport individuals. It ends catch and release. It focuses on additional deportation flights out. It changes our asylum process so that people get a fast asylum screening at a higher standard and then get returned back to their home country. This is not about letting 5,000 people in a day. This is the most misunderstood section of this proposal. And let me tell you briefly what it is. In the last 4 months, we've had 7 days. In 4 months, we've had 7 days that we had less than 5,000 people. This is set up for if you have a rush of people coming at the border closes down, no one gets in. This is not someone standing at the border with a little clicker saying, I'm going to let one more in, we're at 4,999, and then it has to stop. It is a shutdown of the border, and everyone actually gets turned around.
Everyone gets turned around. Well, no one's more turned around than James Lankford. And do you get the tone from him that he thinks he's just pretty smart? Let me explain something about Lankford. He is a rhino, tool of the Marxist Dems. He is not only a tool, he is an utter fool. And the poison that he is spewing is so ignorant and so destructive of this country. I don't blame the Oklahoma State Party for censuring him at all. I hope they find a way to replace him for the good of the state and for the good of the nation. Lankford's comments are nothing short of a complete and total lie, a betrayal of the America First Republican base. The bill says that mandatory activation of the border emergency declaration, blah, 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 would occur if, quote, during a period of 7 consecutive calendar days, there is an average of 5,000 or more aliens. Well, in other words, you can have thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants and nothing happens. This is a border, as Chris Murphy, the Marxist Dem senator, said, this means the border never, ever shuts down. And the power of the emergency shutdown would ultimately lie with, guess who? President Biden. The bill allows the president to suspend any border shutdown for 45 days. And the reality is it just gives the president of the United States more power and not less. The bill is disastrous, if we haven't been clear about that. It codifies catch and release. It also massively expands illegal immigration by calling it legal. It's the same thing. It's just they make it legal. The bill creates 50,000 new green cards a year. It would give automatic work permits to hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants in the country as long as they pass asylum claims. And that's quite a little catch, isn't it? The bill would also codify again a program Biden unilaterally created to allow 30,000 illegals from Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haiti to enter the United States each month. I want to review the bidding. That's Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haiti. Those are, well, I would call them problematic nations at the very least. Perhaps the best metric to judge this legislation is to look at how Democrats are celebrating it as an outright victory. Senator Murphy of Connecticut helped craft the bill. Whoa, he's got to be proud. And he's bragging the bill eliminates waiting for work permits.
When the numbers of crossings are really high, we funnel people who want to apply for asylum to those ports of entry where we can do it in a more manageable, more humane way. We're never going to shut down asylum processing, but we are going to make sure that it's done in a more expeditious manner. Now, there's also in this bill some really important reforms that help immigrants. One of them is quicker work permits. A lot of the reason you see immigrants who are coming here to apply for asylum.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. I can't take any more of it. Everything about this is for the illegal immigrant, quote unquote. The millions of them that are already here. That's 12 to 15 million that Biden has brought into the country illegally. It will assure millions more every year. They say 2 million. The number will be vastly higher than that because this administration lies and lies and lies. There's not anything in this that would assure that if this is the reality that would be created. This is disgusting. It's appalling. And I have to tell you, I have never seen a bill so frankly toxic, poisonous, you name it, destructive. It is an outrage that any Republican put his or her name to this, and anyone in that U.S. Senate who votes for this, like I said, I mean, their name should go down in infamy. We should never forget. This is an administration that is securing a place in history that is, very near hell. That's my view. And joining me now is Ben Berquam. He's the host of Law and Border on Real America's Voice. So Ben is coming to us from Cincinnati tonight, and I think you're going to be surprised why he is there. But let's first get Ben's reaction to the border bill, as it's called, which is a total lie. Ben, great to have you with us. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Lou, it's an absolute disgrace. Any Republican that supports this bill should be out of office. And all you have to do is look at the fact who is actually supporting it. When Joe Biden and the Chamber of Commerce support a bill from anybody, from Democrats or Republicans, you know it's a bad bill, in particular when it comes from when it's in regards to the border. It's an absolute disaster. It basically codifies illegal immigration, and it expands what we're seeing all across the country, from what I'm seeing at the southern border to where all the way up here in Cincinnati and all across this country. The invasion is not slowing down. It's entrenched in our society. This is an entire new industry. We have organizations that are built around it. And I would say, if anything, if I were to have designed this bill, the people that appear to be profiting and benefiting the most are the cartels and the very NGOs that are destroying this country from within.
Yeah, without any question whatsoever. Cincinnati, you mentioned it. You're there. Tell us why.
Yeah, so it's odd. It's interesting. I was down on our last episode of Law and Border. I was down in Lukeville, Arizona, and I was going down the line of all of these illegal aliens that were coming in, hundreds as they're coming in. And I always ask the same question: where are you from? Where are you going? And then we follow up beyond that. But that's the basic. That's where we start from. And for the longest time, you have people coming from all over the world. The majority of them are going to New York, Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles, somewhere, one of the major hubs. And out of the blue,
right.
This last trip down there, I started having all of these Senegalese and people from Mauritania telling me they were going to Cincinnati. And I thought, well, what the heck? Why Cincinnati? And so I decided to take a trip up here. And sure enough, went to the Cincinnati airport, spoke to security there. First guy I ran into was a guy from Mauritania, illegally had crossed over, just went to New York, and now is in Cincinnati. And basically what I found, the security there says on many of the flights coming from the border, there are more illegals than there are American citizens. And all you have to do is go, and I'm going to be releasing some of this video. I haven't released any of it yet. I'm going to be releasing it later today and tonight. The size of Catholic charities in Cincinnati is enormous. And again, what's happening now is the illegals are sanctuary shopping.
How big is it?
City shopping.
Ben?
Multiple stories.
How big are the Catholic charities?
Huge. Multiple stories. I actually interviewed one of the ladies off the record. She came walking out of the building, and I asked that question. I said, "Hey, we're hearing that there's a lot of Senegalese and people from West Africa coming to Cincinnati." And she kind of looked at me excited. "Oh yes, thousands." She said. We actually have had to change our programming to do French speaking, not just Spanish speaking, because the number of people from French speaking parts of Africa that are coming. Right. So they're not ashamed of this at all. This is a massive money-making operation. And that's why you see this push in Washington, D.C. to codify the number of illegal aliens, 5,000 to 8,000. That's the number where these organizations are comfortable taking, receiving, and distributing, where the American people don't see it.
Yeah, and they're not just codifying it. This is amnesty writ large in every fashion, whether it be the free green cards, the H-1B visas, the work visas. This is an outright amnesty in every sense of the word. Ben, again, you talked about how big the Catholic charities were there in Cincinnati. Give us a sense of dimension, buildings, the number of workers there. from the Catholic charities?
Well, wait till you see the building that this is in. It's in a high-rise outside. It's not downtown. It's in the outskirts of town. High-rise building. When you look it up, it says it's only on the 6th floor, but I actually went into the building and went up, and it's multiple floors of this one building. And this is just a piece of the tentacle. So, you think of Catholic Charities down in McAllen, where they're actually buying up city blocks of the town of McAllen. But what is actually, this organization is not just in the United States, it's global. But in every one of these major cities, it has a huge hub. I'm just telling you, wait till you see the video of this. It's massive. They have thousands of workers across the United States. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And again, going under the guise of the Catholic Church, under the Catholic bishops. Most Catholics don't even realize their money and U.S. taxpayer money is being used to traffic illegals in the United States. And again, this is only one of the 9 major organizations that is a part of this trafficking operation.
Ben, thank you so much for all you're doing, and thanks for your report here tonight. Ben Bergman, thank you so much. And God bless.
Always an honor.
Coming up next.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, sir. Iranian-backed forces carrying out new deadly attacks against Americans in the region, and a stunning new report offering new insight into Joe Biden's increasingly cold relationship with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. More on that coming up next. Please stay with us.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your My Pillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
mypillow.com.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our My Pillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Pillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back. Al-Amar Base sits on the eastern bank of the Euphrates River. It houses our troops and Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. That outpost is about as far as you get from the United States. Most Americans don't know why we're there. They don't know where it is, let alone that we are there at all. On Sunday, a drone attack on a training ground at Al-Amar Base left at least 6 of our Kurdish allies dead. No Americans were reported wounded, according to the Associated Press. An Iran-backed group, again Iran, called Islamic Resistance took credit for the deadly assault, and in a video, they bragged about their attack. Recall that Joe Biden launched a series of retaliatory strikes in Iraq and Syria over the weekend, and Yemen. Al-Amar was a response to that, meaning we've climbed a step higher on the ladder of escalation, all under the sleepy eye of what is an impaired, if not senile, president. What should our allies think of us? We know what Biden thinks of them. Biden privately called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a bad blank guy, according to Politico. Of course, Biden White House spokesperson Andrew Bates strenuously denied the report. But actions speak louder than words. We know what Biden thinks of our allies for the same reason we know what he thinks of Americans. Biden's policy are, in practice, a big middle finger, if you will, to this country and to our allies. What of the conclusion can be drawn from Biden's foreign policy, from Biden's immigration policy? Deeds, not words, tell the true story and are all that count. Corey Mills is a Republican congressman from Florida, a highly decorated Army combat veteran. And Congressman Corey Mills joins us now. Corey, it's great to have you with us. We appreciate it. I want to start, if I may, with this border bill. A lot of the mainstream corporatist media talking about it being long awaited. Did you find yourself long awaiting it?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Lou. To refer to this as a border bill is already a misrepresentation. When you think about what Senator Lankford and Chuck Schumer and the other Democrat Mitch McConnell has proposed, what you realize very quickly is on page 212, under the emergency capabilities, where it talks about section B, subsection I, it literally says that nothing could be triggered for emergency contacts until 5,000 or more in a single day actually go into the border. Now let's put that into context for the American people. 1.825 million a year is the equivalent of the entire population of West Virginia. If you were to basically say, let's not trigger this emergency act, and the cartels are smart enough to know this, then let's just say they did 4,000 a day. Now you're talking about 1.46 million people, which is the equivalent to New Hampshire, where the presidential primary was just held. And so I think that by trying to refer to this as a border security bill, whereby this allocates taxpayer funding for $60+ billion to Ukraine, $14+ billion to Israel, which had already been a pre-paid for set aside by the United States House of Representatives, that the Senate has refused to take up. I think that you'll see very quickly that when it comes to taxpayers paying for legal immigrants' lawyer fees, when it comes to housing, cell phones, and prepaid cards, this is anything but a border security bill, and more about an acceptance of intrusion and an amnesty bill.
I couldn't agree with you more. 50,000 green cards, H-1B visas. I mean, they're throwing everything in the air for these people. Excuse me. And it's just outrageous to think that James Lankford, censured by his own party in the state of Oklahoma, I think that is the lightest punishment he should ever receive. This man is an outright disgrace to the Republican Party, frankly, Mitch McConnell. When is the Republican Party going to talk straight about these ignorant tools who are working with Schumer and McConnell, trying to destroy the country, it appears, at least from this 370 pages of hogwash they call a border bill?
Well, I'll tell you, the greatest endorsement of this border bill was by Alejandro Mayorkas and President Biden, who are responsible for the national security, humanitarian, and health crisis that's occurring on our borders. You know, you start thinking about the fact that these are the individuals who've been responsible for this open border catch and release, basically amnesty and sanctuary city, support. They're now endorsing the very bill that the Republicans, or I'm using Republicans very lightly in this term, with Lankford and Schumer, who are trying to call this a border bill. It's anything but. Even Marco Rubio, who was originally part of the Gang of Eight, has come out in strong opposition of this. I mean, there could not be a worse bill. And here's the thing, Lou. If the president wants to secure our border, he can do it right now under the executive order of 212 Section F, which enables him to be able to do a unilateral authority outside of the House of Representatives. Or we could just enforce the existing laws that are on the books, get more justices down at the border to be able to process asylum claims, stop the catch and release, allow the CBP and ICE to deport those who are actually in violation, make sure that the criminal migrants who have come across and committed a crime can be deported and never apply for U.S. citizenship. And, I don't know, why don't we pass H.R. 2 in the Senate, which is already passed in the House, the most conservative and robust border bill, which is actually a border bill that's ever came out of the House of Representatives.
Absolutely. And why don't we acknowledge right now as a nation, in the national media, on Capitol Hill, the White House, why don't we acknowledge that the Mexican drug cartels control that 2,000 miles of border, with exceptions within the state of Texas, which is responsible for more than half of that border. I mean, we were at a point here where they threw the word fentanyl in there, as you could tell it was just an aside, a last moment afterthought. Right. When 100,000 Americans are dying, you and I have talked about this. No one wants to react and make certain that those cartels are taken out of business. One name comes to mind, and that's President Donald Trump. Without his leadership, these people are simply, they're evil in what they're concocting. They're evil in what they are not doing to defend this nation. You get the last word here, Congressman.
Well, Lou, if I may, I can tell you there's a very easy thing that we could do if we want to shut the border down. It's elect President Donald J. Trump into the White House. We could also return things like good policy, like remain in Mexico. But the bottom line is that Joe Biden is the employee of the month every month when it comes to the Mexican cartels. In 2018, they had roughly $500 million in revenue. Fast forward to 2021, they're at $13 billion, of which 40+% was just in human and child sex trafficking. Yeah. This is a tremendous issue that's impacting my state in Florida, but every single state in America is a border state, and that's one of the things that we have to acknowledge today.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact is that this president is nothing more than a figurehead, really just a puppet of his Marxist masters. Corey Mills, we always appreciate you being with us, Congressman. Thanks so much, and God bless.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Coming up next, an update on our so-called justice system. These people live by the Russian proverb, if there is a neck, there is a collar. There are also Trump haters who will stop at nothing to help Joe Biden and his Marxist masters. We'll take that up when we continue. Please stay with us. And a reminder, please join us each and every weekday for my podcast, 7 days a week, for the Great America Show podcast, available at LouDobbs.com, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify. We'll be waiting for you wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back. There's a lot to consider in the Senate Open Borders bill. We'll continue to update you as we learn more this week if there's anything positive in it. Even if the bill is blocked, it may have shifted the Overton window on immigration. The Marxist Dems want to redefine their open borders extremism as the moderate position. Consider the one provision of that bill regarding the daily average of illegal entries. We're told by Senator Langford, and who could possibly misunderstand him, and others pushing this bill, that no border enforcement will be necessary if the number is under 5,000. So 5,000 crossings, read people, that's what they are. They're people, they're not crossings. But that isn't according to the Senate bill. It's about 2 million people a year coming into this country, unvetted, and the least of them, at least coming in from countries that mean us great harm, whether it's from Venezuela, whether it's China. We've got a lot to answer for given what is already transpired. Let's compare that with how the Obama administration viewed daily entries. Here's Obama's DHS Secretary, Jay Johnson, in 2019, talking about the number of illegal immigrants crossing into this country each day.
My staff will tell you if it was under 1,000 apprehensions the day before, that was a relatively good number. And if it was above 1,000, it was a relatively bad number, and I was going to be in a bad mood the whole day. On Tuesday, there were 4,000 apprehensions. I know that 1,000 overwhelms the system. I cannot begin to imagine what 4,000 a day looks like. So we are truly in a crisis.
In a crisis. Jay Johnson, 2019. And now, this Senate, these Marxist Dems, this Marxist Biden regime want to have at least 5,000 a day. It's outrageous. And the national media is nowhere to be found. Their ignorance, their complicity in all of this is abhorrent, yet that is who they are now. Another thing that's become abundantly clear is the Marxist Dems and their media allies are working overtime pushing this piece of legislation. And it is, it's junk. And it's also poisonous junk. And that should tell you everything about their corporate and political interests, which are intertwined and aligned. If the United States opens up its borders to millions of illegal immigrants and puts them on a path to citizenship, then the Democrats will have uncontested political power, perhaps for decades. The corporations, the elites will have their cheap labor, and most importantly, the populist American worker will become irrelevant, their political capital diluted, and by the way, their influence over even their communities, let alone their nation, will be almost zero. Here was Chuck Schumer this morning pushing this legislation on MSNBC. Notice how he threatens to send American troops, this ignorant excuse for a senator, threatening to send our troops to Eastern Europe to fight Russia if this bill isn't passed. This man is a foul and evil person.
We're at a turning point in America. This bill is crucial, and history will look back on it and say, did America fail itself? Why is it crucial? Well, if we don't aid Ukraine, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war, and we could be fighting in Eastern Europe in a NATO ally in a few years. Americans won't like that. If we don't help Israel defend itself against Hamas, that perpetual war will go on and on and on. If we don't help humanitarian aid to the starving Palestinians in Gaza, hundreds of thousands could starve. And the border, everyone has said it's chaos. You just saw Speaker Johnson. He said it's chaos. We have to do something legislative a few months ago. But what has happened, in answer to your question, so this is crucial for America. It's a turning point. History is going to look over our shoulders and say, did we rise to the occasion?
The only turning point we're interested in right now is the turning point when President Donald Trump is elected on November 5th of this year. As I said, Chuck Schumer is evil, he is reprehensible, and every word he uttered there was absolutely false. Any Republican openly siding with a Marxist like Chuck Schumer playing at this game to get this bill passed should be voted out of office. I have to tell you, the treason, the poison that is in this bill is palpable, it is obvious. And joining me now to talk about all of this is the senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation and attorney, Mike Gonzalez. Mike, good to see you and welcome to the show.
Hey, Lou, thanks a lot for having me on.
I'd like to get, I've made my opinion clear on this. I'd like to get yours and your thinking, your analysis.
Yeah, well, I listened to what you were saying very intently. I agree with everything you said. I'm very happy, by the way, that you're using the term Marxist. That's the subject of my next book coming out on April 2nd. This is all a cultural Marxist endeavor taking place. I'm not saying that Biden is a Marxist. Biden has decided to attach himself to this thinking because he thinks that this will help him electorally. Look, Schumer is very much everything you said he is, but he has been able to convince a lot of good men and women, good Republicans, that he has hoodwinked them into agreeing to this bill that was unnecessary in the first place. Biden has everything he needs at his disposal to close the border, to undo what he has done for the last 3 years. Let's not forget that when Biden was campaigning, and this is, you can Google this, the video exists, he called for a rush to the border. He called for a rush to the border by foreign nationals. And that's exactly what he helped to take place. And an estimated 10 million people have come in since then. Who knows how many will come in the next year? And I don't know what's going to happen in November. But he has everything he has at his disposal. He can stop catch and release. He can stop asylum fraud. He can stop the unconstitutional use of mass parole. A parole was something that was used, that was meant for very rare occasions in which people did not have enough time to get their passport, in which they were really escaping. They were in a dire situation. This has now been misused, and millions of people have been paroled in this country. Alejandro Mayorkas himself has said that 85% of the people who come across and ask for asylum are allowed to waltz in. Last month alone, they encountered 9,000 Chinese nationals at the border. 9,000. You know what the previous record was, Lou? Was 1,000. This is 900 times that. What have we done to ourselves?
It's really the question. And what are we permitting? And why are we permitting? And why is the Republican Party, the leadership of the Republican Party, in cahoots, aligned with these fools like Chuck Schumer? We know they're evil. They lie as a matter of just, it's immaterial to them to lie. They have no conscience. They simply want to preserve power. And the power of the Marxist Dems over this country now, over this government of ours, is frankly, it's absolute. There was a time I thought the Supreme Court was going to be the last bastion of strength for the Republic, but in its most recent 5-4 decision, as you know, they aligned themselves with the Mexican drug cartels and the Marxists in this country who mean to throw those borders wide open. It's a difficult thing to measure right now, how the consent of the governed ever asserts itself again if we don't do it on November 5th of this year in the presidential election. You're thinking.
You know, I am not a lawyer, but our legal experts at Heritage have said that the Supreme Court decision actually does give Texas, it doesn't take away Texas' right to protect its border. It says that the federal government can send officials to cut through the wire, but Texas can rebuild that border again, that wire again. I have been at the border many times. I have been on the Rio Grande. By the way, the Rio Grande is a very small thing. It's tiny. You can walk through it.
In places.
Yeah, in places. So I have been in places where they just, the guy told me this is just last month we caught hundreds of Chinese nationals here. I talked to a businessman from Brownsville who told me, this is a Mexican-American businessman, who told me that the week earlier he has spoken to 10 Russians. 10 Russians who spoke perfect Spanish with a Venezuelan accent because they had been based at a Russian military facility in that Marxist country. They had just come across the border. What are 10 Russians trained in Venezuela doing inside our country?
Yeah. People aren't even asking that question, Mike. It's remarkable to me. No one has made a greater shift in his outlook and his rhetoric, if you will, than Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee. He is now focused on the reality of what is happening in this country. And we have an administration that doesn't know how much land the communist Chinese have bought. They have no idea who else has bought it, that is foreign interests, whether they be from friendly or enemy states around the world. But we do know that there are people of military age, male, coming into this country in droves, and there is no response save for the state of Texas. Greg Abbott has set a standard, and luckily right now 13 states have agreed, 27 states have agreed to support his efforts on the border to protect the nation, but 13 of those states are sending their National Guards. Your thoughts about what that portends?
Well, I mean, I think that is right now, that is our last line of defense. When I said that Biden had the tools, I just want to remind your listeners and your viewing audience that the House of Representatives 9 months ago passed the Secure Border Act, H.R. 2, that would take away all the tools that Biden is misusing, like catch and release, constitutional use of mass parole. By the way, we haven't mentioned the role of the NGOs. We're paying with taxpayer money these NGOs who have built a variable infrastructure throughout the Western Hemisphere and the U.S. to process, transport, shelter, and provide social services for these illegal aliens that are invading us. We have to stop paying these people. And I believe, or haven't read it, that the bill that the Senate is proposing actually gives more money to the NGOs.
It does. It does. And it also hands out 50,000 new green cards. It gives out H-1B visas. It gives work permits to everyone. There's a party at the border. And it is simply the latest outrage of this evil Biden regime. A puppet president and his Marxist masters keep coming up with new ideas on ways to destroy the country. Mike Gonzalez, always great to see you. Thanks for being here, my friend. I appreciate it. Look forward to talking with you much more. Well, coming up, we're going to be taking a look at that border bill one more time. The Marxist media already working overtime trying to get it passed. Oh, they're desperate. They are desperate. That's straight ahead. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
Welcome back. The American humorist P.J. O'Rourke said the two most frightening words in Washington, D.C. are bipartisan consensus. And was he ever right? The Senate's border deal and foreign aid package is an example of what O'Rourke meant. It's also a reminder that there's a lot of lying going on in the open sewer that is our nation's capital, and humor is often a way of coping with grief. I prefer fighting. This raw deal for Americans and this great country would entail about $75 billion in foreign aid, $20 billion for our border. Those numbers should be reversed, in my opinion. It would affect, and by the way, then at least it could have that title of being a border bill. It would effectively legalize a certain amount of illegal immigration each year and codify catch and release. In other words, 2 million more people at least would be coming across the border illegally, but with a sanction, a promise that it's going to all be better on the other side. And it will be. And a fortune will be spent making it so. No doubt Republican Senator James Lankford and Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer. Okay, let me be real honest. Lankford is a rhino tool, and Chuck Schumer is a Marxist demon, as far as I'm concerned. They shared a gleeful giggle over this legislation, the cartels as well. They're already making a killing on human smuggling, sex trafficking. This bill would be a cause for celebration among the traffickers who control the border. And the Mexican drug cartels are in charge. They are in operational charge and control of our border. There is no doubt about it. No matter what Mayorkas says, no matter what Biden says, or any other fool who means to destroy this country. Joe Biden, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, Senate Republicans and Democrats alike, all in one big bipartisan consensus against the American people and the United States of America. This legislation is not simply toxic, it is poisonous, it is a destructive weapon to be used against the Republic and to further devastate our nation. A new survey found that nearly 6 in 10 Americans want that border wall to be completed now. That's a problem for Joe Biden. That's a problem for the Marxist Dems and their, all of the corporations and the elitists in this country, the oligarchs they represent. They also worry a civil war might erupt over immigration. I haven't quite figured out how that would be the case. I can see a lot of other reasons for perhaps conflict, but surely our ruling class seems unbothered, utterly detached from reality, and if it's just not hard to not laugh at all at this absurdity of this. Make no mistake, the border deal would do great evil and harm to our nation. It wouldn't save us from the immigration crisis. It wouldn't save Americans from the fentanyl pouring over the border and the 100,000 a year dying as a result. In fact, the only thing it's intended to do is save Joe Biden's reelection. Joining us now to talk about that and more is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, Mike Davis. Mike, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Let's start with your thoughts about just how evil has Chuck Schumer, the Senate Republicans who sided with him on this bill, how evil have they become?
This deal is an abomination, and I would say to Senate Republicans, do not walk the plank to support this immigration deal, because the top 4 House Republicans, including the Speaker, the Majority Leader, the Majority Whip, and the House Republican Chair, have all said this is dead on arrival in the House of Representatives. So why would you walk the plank for this bill that's not going anywhere?
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Lankford has always been a rhino, but to be this animated, this complete, and as a sellout to the Marxists, to the corporatists, the elitists, the oligarchs, He didn't miss a single box. He has turned into a shell of himself, at least the man he pretended to be, for a considerable period of time. He's been censured by the Oklahoma State Republican Party. That tells you how disgusted they are with this man. I can't think of any reason on earth this guy should remain in the Republican Party. Or Mitch McConnell. Why isn't the Senate changing the guard there? Are they that beholden to the turtle that they will watch him sell out to China, to Mexico, you name it, the cartels? It's an outrage. And no one in the national press is going to talk, or media is going to talk straight about this, but the independent media is, and it's straightforward. Everybody can see it for themselves. Our eyes don't lie. This thing is rancid, poisonous, toxic, and destructive of everything that is American.
This is $118 billion, and the reason Senate Republicans are willing to go along with this invasion of our southern border is because they want to send $60 billion to Ukrainian oligarchs and these senators' defense contractors, friends, to fight a war that we have no business being in, right? And so I would say this: why would Senate Republicans want to end their career on voting for or supporting a bill that's not going to pass in the House of Representatives?
Well, and thank you, Mike Johnson. I mean, the Speaker of the House, I have been critical of his judgments, some of his decisions, but I have to say, in this, when he declared it dead on arrival, my hat's off to the man. He is standing right at this moment as tallest among all of the Republicans, who should be as one saying, no way on earth should it happen.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump had the same laws that President Biden has now. President Trump got our border under control, our immigration under control. Biden gutted Trump's policies on day one through executive order, including remain in Mexico. Biden has the tools right now to fix our border crisis that he created. He does not want to fix this because he wants these 10 million migrants who are here illegally to have kids who become citizens and future Democrat voters.
Yeah, without a question, and to create a one-party state that would be a Marxist state by definition. And this is out there in front of every Republican leader, every person in this country who has a leadership role, whether it's in business, education, you name it, and they are as silent as lambs. Instead of fighting for this nation, our constitutional republic. And speaking of the constitutional republic, what do you make of the 5-4 decision that, in my mind at least, aligned the Supreme Court now with the Marxist Dems and the Mexican drug cartels as they averted their eyes from the constitutional crisis, the physical crisis that is at our border?
It was a disastrously wrong decision. Justice Amy Coney Barrett and the Chief Justice joined the 3 liberal justices, and they did in a middle of the night order on the emergency docket, the so-called shadow docket that liberals decry when conservatives use it, that Justice Amy Coney Barrett just 2 years ago said should not be used except for in extraordinary circumstances. The Supreme Court, 5-4, used the shadow docket to essentially allow the Biden administration to cut open the razor wire to allow the continued invasion of our country, including through Texas, right? Joe Biden is willing to fight all the way to the Supreme Court to make sure that his invasion is ongoing. That tells us all we need to know.
It is. There is something else we have to, I think, put forward. And that is right now, the Republican majority in the House, Speaker Mike Johnson, are all that stand between us and the end of this constitutional republic, unless we can get to Election Day and then to January 20th, 2025, with President Trump raising his right hand. Right now, I am I'm wary of the possibility that we don't get to November 5th because of the overreach, the abuse of power, and the obvious vast energy that is behind destroying this nation and preserving Joe Biden as the puppet for his Marxist masters.
I agree with you. This next election is make or break for our country. If Biden is reelected, our country's done. The only person who can save our country is Donald Trump, and that's why Democrats are trying to destroy him. I would say this: if you thought the BLM and Antifa riots were bad in 2024, brace yourself for the Hamas riots in 2020. Brace yourself for the Hamas riots in 2024. I would say to Republicans, vote as early as possible. Get your vote in, because you don't want to be terrorized by Hamas supporters on Election Day.
Yeah, I think that's sage advice. It is also important that I think everyone in this country who cares about this country get engaged in their communities and take action at the local level. Get with your county clerks, your county election systems, have some role there. Encourage your friends and family and everyone like-minded to be engaged in that election on November 5th, because the nation does really depend upon it, just as you said, Mike. I have to ask you this as we look at the Supreme Court. The alignment between these two justices, John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, that just wasn't there before, and I have to say that there are a number of stories circulating on the internet, various publications as well, and it's sound reporting. Much of it is sound reporting that somehow they've been compromised and that it is being used by the Marxist Dems against them, and that this is not a free vote on their part. It's not a volitional vote on their part, that they are captive for whatever reason to whatever coercion they're under. You're thinking about that?
I would say that when Supreme Court justices do things that are out of the ordinary, like siding with liberals on the emergency docket after they just said 2 years ago you shouldn't use the emergency docket except for in extraordinary circumstances, you have to wonder why. So they bring this on themselves when they do things like this, when they don't have briefing and oral argument and go through the regular deliberative process, when they make snap decisions in the middle of the night. You have to wonder if those Dobbs protesters who terrorized Justice Barrett in her home, threatened her family, you have to wonder if that had an effect on her. I hope not, because your job as a Supreme Court justice with your lifetime tenure and your paid protection and your U.S. Marshal and Supreme Court police detail is to follow the law.
Yeah, I fear the same things, obviously. Mike, we appreciate it so much, as always. Mike Davis, the head of the Article 3 Project, great American. Thanks for being with us, Mike.
Thank you, Lou.
And a programming reminder for all of you out there, please join us each and every weekday for our podcast, The Great America Show, 7 days a week, available at loudobbs.com, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Please join us on The Great America Show podcast. Thanks for being with us this evening. Please join us tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. Award-winning investigative journalist, founder of Just the News, John Solomon joins us. The Lindell Report is next, and you certainly want to wait for that. It'll be just a matter of seconds, and then the great Mike Lindell will appear, as promised. Good night. Thank you for being with us. God bless you.